I am so happy.
I'm so miserable.
No, I'm so happy.
Oh, again, I'm so miserable.
Who is really enjoying lasting happiness? The question is, who is, not who wants. Because we all want to be happy and fulfilled, isn't it? All our life centers around happiness. Some pursue happiness more consciously and others less consciously. But essentially, all are seeking happiness. Nobody seeks consciously misery. It is a natural impulse of all human beings because our essence, our soul, is Satchitananda, or conscious existence of lasting bliss. This is important for us to know because without this knowledge, we try to find happiness in the wrong places, there where we can't find it. Because we have so many ideas, or we get so many ideas where happiness can be found. But like I said, many have tried to find lasting happiness, and few have attained to it. And I want to emphasize on the word lasting, or lasting happiness. Not something which has a beginning and an end, but a happiness which is constantly increasing. Just remember the best moment in your life, something which made you super happy and which fulfilled you. You got something? Otherwise, just pause the video for a moment and think about it. Now, if you got the memory of these moments, imagine that since then your joy, happiness and fulfillment has constantly increased. And it keeps on increasing even now without having any experience of loss or suffering. Can you imagine that? I guess not really. But it is a nice prospect to know that such a state is not just possible, but our very nature. The thing is that to attain this kind of happiness, we have to let go of the attachment to the lesser joys. And that is easily said, but difficult to practice. Because unless we are enlightened or liberated, we identify with our body and our mind, and we enjoy mostly through the senses. And these gratifications are just limited, because they have a beginning and they have an end. Now, the gratifications in itself are not really a problem. It is more the attachment which we create to the gratifications and to the things which give us joy and happiness. That is more the problem. Let me repeat that. The sense pleasures are not the problem. It is the attachment to the sense pleasures which is the problem. And attachment means that we want something to last, but something which is finite, like the objects of this material creation, that won't last. Everything is destined to vanish. And with that comes the feeling of loss and suffering. And even though these are facts which we can all observe in our day-to-day life, most people don't really consider them. But if we consider them, then we will come inevitably to the conclusion that we have to avoid the attachment to the sense pleasures. And that means that to some extent we also have to avoid them. Whoever has done a fast or any other renunciation knows what I'm talking about, knows that the senses and the mind are not really rejoicing in a process of renunciation, at least not in the beginning, but they are rebelling actually. And the more we identify with this mind and these senses, the more we might feel miserable. Just remember the last time when you fasted. Isn't there a part of you which asks, why are you doing this to yourself? But then maybe after some time you start to feel the benefits. You become more calm, have more time because you don't eat, feel more light, more awareness, are more energized. But to get to that point, you had to renounce first these impulses of the senses and the mind. This is very beautifully described in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 18, verse 37. Krishna says, "Sattvic happiness is like poison in the beginning, but eventually becomes like nectar. It arises from a serene state of mind and leads to one knowing the self." Like poison first, but eventually becomes nectar. How beautiful is that? A sattvic happiness leads one to know the self, or in other words, to get to a lasting happiness and to a lasting fulfillment. Actually, the whole spiritual path is like that. Through our spiritual endeavor, we focus more and more on the lasting self and on God. And that feels sometimes like poison, at least for the ego and for the unsatisfied mind, till we identify more and more and eventually fully with this Atma or spiritual self. On the opposite, we have the Rajasic happiness, which is described as follows. Rajasic happiness, however, is like nectar in the beginning and ends in poison. It arises from the senses contacting the sense objects. If you ever went for a great party and had a hangover the next day, you have understood the concept of a Rajasic happiness. Most, if not all, sense pleasures fall into this category. First, being like nectar, but bitter poison in the end. There's a saying, the higher we fly, the more it hurts when we crash. Anyway, Rajasic happiness might be quickly obtained, but it is also quickly lost, and it is limited as it is linked to this material world, i.e. our body and mind identification. And finally, we have the Tamasic happiness, which is described as follows. And Tamasic happiness causes delusion both at the beginning and the end. It is based on sleep, laziness, and foolishness. The happiness shaped by tamas comes from the fulfillment of neither spiritual nor material goals. It is a form of happiness based on foolishness, indolence, and intoxication. And again, it's not something which is unfamiliar in this modern world. As always, this knowledge of the gunas is a tool to analyze ourselves, to understand ourselves and this world and its functionings. It is not there to judge. Always remember that you have the possibility to choose. You are not a slave to the gunas or its effects unless you make yourself one. I pray that you strive and find lasting happiness in pursuing a spiritual goal, realizing the self and your eternal love relationship with God. And that you don't get stuck in the immediate but short-lived happiness of these material goals, or be foolish to seek happiness in intoxication and self-destruction. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let's learn together from Bhagavan Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita, and let's strive together for the ultimate happiness. Jai Gurudev.